Marcus Aurelius's philosophy: embrace the inevitable and find freedom. Have you ever wondered what you would do if you had all the power in the world in your hands? Imagine for a moment being the most powerful person on the planet. Wealth, pleasures, and unlimited power at your disposal. Most of us might get lost in this scenario, right? But that wasn't the case for Marcus Aurelius. Before we begin, I left a message at the end of this video, and I need your support, Stoic friends. Now let's get to our video. Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, had all of that. He led the greatest empire known in his time with a power that few in history have ever imagined. However, he made a decision that transformed his life and left an immortal legacy. He chose to live according to the principles of Stoicism. Now you might be thinking, but why would someone give up so many luxuries and pleasures? The answer is simple and at the same time profound. Marcus Aurelius understood something that we often overlook. The true strength of a leader is not in how much they can conquer for themselves, but in the impact they can have on the lives of others. Stoicism was the foundation of this vision. It wasn't just a philosophy for him, but a way of life. He believed that being a leader was not a privilege, but a responsibility. This meant rejecting excesses and focusing on what truly matters: virtue, wisdom, and the well-being of the people he led. And here is the lesson for all of us. Just like Marcus Aurelius, we face temptations, challenges, and difficult decisions. We can get lost in fleeting desires or choose something greater. He showed us that by focusing on what we can control and living with purpose, we find the strength to overcome any obstacle and become true leaders of our own lives. So I ask you, what will your legacy be? How can you apply this wisdom to guide your actions and transform not only your life, but also those around you? Marcus Aurelius' journey is an invitation to reflect and act. Because in the end, it is not power that defines who we are, but what we do with it. 2. Stoicism, a practical philosophy. Have you ever felt like the world was out of control? Like, no matter how hard you tried, some things just wouldn't go the way you wanted? It's frustrating, isn't it? But what if I told you there's a way to handle all of that? A philosophy that not only helps us face adversity, but also find peace, even in chaos. This philosophy is Stoicism. Before you wrinkle your nose and think, oh, another complicated theory, hold on. Stoicism isn't about grand philosophical debates or difficult to understand books. It's practical, straightforward, and deeply transformative. Stoics teach us something that might seem simple but is extremely powerful. Focus on what you can control and accept what you cannot. That's it. It sounds easy, but in practice, it's revolutionary. Think about your daily worries. A negative comment, unexpected traffic, someone's attitude that hurt you. Can you control these things? No. But you know what you can control: your reaction to them. This is where Stoicism shines. This philosophy reminds us that fighting against what is beyond our reach only brings frustration. We can't change the weather, other people's opinions, or life's twists and turns, but we can choose how to react. We can act with calmness, courage, and wisdom. And don't think this means passively accepting everything. Stoicism doesn't preach apathy, but conscious action. It gives us the clarity to know when to fight and when to let go, when to change what is within our reach and when to simply accept what isn't. Imagine for a moment living without being a hostage to circumstances, without getting worn down by what you can't change. This is the power of Stoicism, bringing back serenity even amidst life's storms. So how about starting today? Take a moment and reflect. What is within your control right now? How can you choose to react more wisely and virtuously? Stoicism isn't about living without problems, it's about learning to deal with them. It's about being free. Shall we discover this freedom together? Now that we understand how Stoicism can be a practical tool for dealing with life's challenges, it's natural for a question to arise. But how do I apply this in my daily life? How do I know what is truly within my control and what isn't? This is where we reach the heart of this philosophy, the distinction between what we can control and what is beyond our reach. And believe me, understanding this difference can be the key to unlocking a lighter and more suffering-free life. Shall we explore this together? 3. Control and acceptance. The Stoic core. Have you ever spent hours worrying about something you knew deep down you couldn't change? Maybe an unfair criticism, an unexpected event, or even the behavior of someone close to you. These moments drain our energy, leave us frustrated, and often paralyze us. But what if you could transform that feeling into something powerful? Stoicism gives us the answer with a lesson that seems simple but changes lives. Focus on what is within your control. It's liberating to realize that while we can't control what happens around us, we have complete mastery over our actions, thoughts, and choices. Think about it. Can you control traffic? No, but you can control your patience. Can you control someone's opinion of you? Also, no, but you can control how you react to it. This distinction is the core of Stoicism. When you stop wasting energy on things beyond your reach, something magical happens. You regain power over yourself. It's like cutting the ropes that tie you to useless frustrations and worries. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, reminds us that trying to control the uncontrollable is like fighting the wind. No matter how hard we try, the wind will keep blowing, but we can adjust our sails. We can choose the direction we follow, regardless of the storm's strength. And do you know the result of that choice? Freedom. Not the freedom to do whatever we want, but the freedom from being hostage to external circumstances. This is true autonomy, knowing that even when everything seems out of control, you can still decide how to act. So how about trying this right now? Stop and think, what is your concern at this moment? Ask yourself, can I change this, or is it beyond my control? If the answer is no, let it go. Take a deep breath and focus on what you can do now. It is in this focus that we find serenity. This is where true freedom begins. Now that we understand the power of distinguishing between what we can control and what we cannot, you might be wondering, but does this work in the face of great challenges, like crises, huge responsibilities, or difficult decisions? To answer that, let's look at the example of someone who lived at the center of the greatest storms of his time, Marcus Aurelius, or Stoicism in Crises and Leadership. Imagine yourself in the shoes of Marcus Aurelius. As the Emperor of Rome, he not only faced the common difficulties of life, but also dealt with devastating wars, economic crises, and relentless political pressures. All this while carrying the responsibility of leading millions of people. Can you imagine the weight of that position? What makes his story so powerful isn't the fact that he survived these adversities, but how he did it. Marcus Aurelius didn't use his position to seek comfort or isolate himself from the chaos. On the contrary, he embraced the chaos with serenity and wisdom, guided by the principles of Stoicism. Instead of letting fear or anger consume him, he focused on a single question: what is within my power to do now in a just and virtuous way? This clarity allowed him to make tough decisions without losing his balance. For example, during one of the greatest crises of his leadership, the barbarian invasions on the empire's borders, Marcus Aurelius faced the threat without panicking. He knew he couldn't control the enemies, but he could control his own actions and how he led his army. And so he did, with courage and resilience. Stoicism was his guide, reminding him that leadership wasn't about power, but about service. He believed his position wasn't a privilege, but a responsibility. And it was this mindset that made him one of the most respected leaders in history. And what does this mean for us? We don't need to be emperors to face our own wars. At home, at work, or in moments of personal crisis, we have the opportunity to lead our lives and inspire those around us. Like Marcus Aurelius, we can choose virtue over despair, responsibility over omission. So when things seem tough, ask yourself, what is within my power to do now with courage and wisdom? No matter the size of the storm, how we react is always what defines us. Shall we face our crises as opportunities to lead with balance and turn challenges into growth? After seeing how Stoicism guided Marcus Aurelius in times of crisis, you might be thinking, but what about what's yet to come? And the fears that haunt me about the future? This question is universal, and Stoicism offers us a simple and transformative answer. Let's explore it together. 5. The future, anxiety and worries. How many times have you lost hours or even sleepless nights worrying about something that hasn't happened? A problem that seemed huge in your mind, but when it arrived, was much smaller or never even materialized. Anxiety about the future is one of the greatest thieves of peace we face. Stoicism reminds us of a truth we easily forget. The future doesn't exist yet. It's just a projection created by our minds, a scenario we imagine based on our fears. And most of the time, these scenarios never become reality. Marcus Aurelius, in his Reflections, wrote something powerful. Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. This phrase carries immense wisdom. If you can handle today's challenges, you can also handle tomorrow's challenges. Think about it. When you excessively worry about what's to come, you're fighting a battle against something that hasn't happened yet. And in the process, you lose the opportunity to live the only moment that truly matters, the now. This doesn't mean ignoring the future or acting without planning. It means that you should prepare without letting anxiety steal your peace. After all, what's the use of torturing yourself today over a problem that might not even exist tomorrow? Stoicism teaches us to live with confidence in the present. Every day, we have the rational tools to handle whatever comes our way. The future doesn't need to be a scary monster. It's just a reflection of the conscious actions we take today. So the next time your mind starts to wander to the future and you feel that anxiety creeping in, stop and ask yourself, can I do something about this now? If the answer is yes, act. If it's no, let it go. The future will be faced just as we face the present, with wisdom, calmness, and courage. Shall we live more in the now and free ourselves from the chains of anxiety? Together, we can overcome this challenge. We talked about the future and how it can bring us unnecessary anxiety. But what about the other side of the coin, and that weight we carry from the past, the what-ifs that haunt us? If the future holds us back with doubt, the past ties us down with regret. It's time to talk about that. 6. The past, regret and acceptance. Have you ever caught yourself reliving an old situation, wishing you had done something differently? Maybe a decision that didn't go as planned, or words you wish you had said or left unsaid. It's as if our mind creates a movie that we watch repeatedly, hoping that somehow the ending will change. But here is the harsh and liberating truth. The past cannot be altered. What happened, happened. And revisiting those moments mentally doesn't change anything. It only drains us emotionally. Marcus Aurelius understood this clearly. He said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." These words remind us that by clinging to the past, we are wasting the only moment where we have power, the now. This doesn't mean ignoring the past or pretending that mistakes and pains didn't happen. On the contrary, Stoicism teaches us to look at the past as a teacher. Every mistake is a lesson, Every regret is an opportunity for learning. The problem arises when we allow ourselves to be imprisoned by these memories, turning learning into suffering. Think about it. If you could go back in time, wouldn't you act differently? Wouldn't you make another decision with the knowledge you have today? Of course you would. But we didn't have today's understanding at that moment, and it's precisely this that makes the past a guide, not a prison. Stoicism invites us to accept what happened and focus on how we respond to it now. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Is it not possible for you to amend what has happened? Is it not possible for you to make use of your experience to make the present better?" These words encourage us to use our past experiences constructively. So, instead of wasting energy asking yourself, "What if?" ask yourself, "What did I learn? How can I use this to grow?" Letting go of the past isn't about forgetting, it's about honoring what it taught us and moving forward with lightness. The past cannot be rewritten, but the present is in your hands. Let's leave regret behind and use each lesson as fuel to build a stronger future. After reflecting on the lessons of the past and freeing our minds from anxiety about the future, we arrive at the essential question, what about the now? The present, so brief and often neglected, is the only moment where we truly have power. Let's explore together how to value it. 7. The present, the moment that matters. Have you noticed how we are always between the before and the after? The past ties us down with regrets. The future pulls us with worries. But the present, it simply is. Calm, silent, waiting for our attention. And often, we completely ignore it. Stoicism reminds us of something as simple as it is transformative. Life happens now. The present is the only moment where we can act, the only place where we truly live. Yet we spend so much time fighting against things we can't change or trying to predict what's to come. Marcus Aurelius said, "Treat each moment as if it were your last, not in a hurried or desperate way, but with reverence." And this reverence means being truly present, accepting reality as it is, and responding to it with wisdom and virtue. Accepting the present isn't about resigning yourself to what happens, but recognizing what is within our control. Think about it. How many times have you resisted something inevitable, like a mistake or a frustration? And how much suffering did that bring? Resisting what we can't change is like fighting against a powerful tide. The more we struggle, the more we drown. Now imagine the opposite, accepting the present with calmness. Acceptance doesn't mean approving or liking everything that happens, but rather choosing how to react. It's about turning each challenge into an opportunity to practice virtue, to be courageous, just, and wise. After all, what is life but a series of present moments? When we get lost in the past or the future, we stop living. But when we are here, fully present, even the simplest things, a conversation, a smile, a moment of silence, gain infinite value. So how about starting now? Take a deep breath. Feel the present around you. It doesn't matter what happened before or what is yet to come. You have this moment, and it is enough. Let's value the now because it is where life truly happens. Together, let's learn to act with wisdom and serenity in the only moment that matters, the present. Now that we understand the power of living in the present, an inevitable question arises. What do we do when the present challenges us? When difficulties seem overwhelming and all we want is to flee? Stoicism offers us a simple yet profound answer. Adversities are not obstacles, they are opportunities. Let's discover why. 8. Virtue and growth in adversities. Difficulties. Just hearing that word makes most of us feel a weight in our chest. But what if I told you that the most challenging moments of your life can be the ones that strengthen you the most? It sounds contradictory, but Stoicism teaches us exactly that. It is in adversity that we find the chance to grow. Think of a recent adversity you faced, maybe a loss, a mistake, or an unexpected obstacle. You probably wished it would disappear, right? But now, looking back, what did that experience teach you? What strength did you discover within yourself that you might not have known existed? Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This simple phrase carries a powerful truth. Difficulties are not here to destroy us, but to shape us. Every challenge is an opportunity to practice patience, courage, and resilience. Imagine a tree in the midst of a storm. The wind tries to topple it, but it is precisely this resistance that strengthens its roots. In the same way, it is the strong winds of life that make us firmer, more aware of our own strength. Stoicism invites us to change the question we ask ourselves in the face of difficulties. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this teaching me?" This simple shift in perspective transforms any adversity into an opportunity for growth. And more importantly, it reminds us that true freedom isn't in controlling what happens, but in mastering how we respond. When we choose to respond to difficulties with virtue, being just, patient, and wise, we find an inner strength that no one can take away from us. So the next time life challenges you, remember, adversity is the field where virtue flourishes. It is not a punishment, but an invitation to become the best version of yourself. Let's embrace difficulties as chances to grow, to strengthen our roots, and to turn each obstacle into a step toward freedom. We've reached the end of this journey, and I hope these Stoic reflections have sparked something within you. Now it's your turn. What are you going to take away from all of this? How can you apply these teachings in your daily life? I want to hear your thoughts. Share in the comments which of these lessons resonated with you the most. I need the participation of all of you who made it this far. This helps YouTube show the video to many more people. Without your engagement, the platform understands that the video doesn't deserve to be shown to a wider audience. Leave any message here. It will help a lot. And if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to leave a like. Thank you so much for sticking with me until the end. Remember, true strength lies within you, and each day is a new opportunity to be your best version. See you in the next video.